Hello, and welcome to episode 82 of Design Curious Podcast. I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. Today on the podcast, I have a great interview with Jane Dagmi from High Point by Design. And before I get into tell you a little bit more about her, I want to remind you, of course, of all the downloads that I have. You can find them in the show notes of all the things I wish I had known before I started my career in interior design, and the roadmap to interior design. So if you're thinking about interior design as a career, you're going to want to download these, get some more information, get on the email list for the podcast, and definitely go back and binge all the episodes. There's so much great content now that we are 82 episodes into it. And also, of course, My Design Mentor is my program where you can work with me one-on-one on an online platform, along with 12 modules of education to help you really understand the career. And then there's also the option for the business starter kit within that program. So a lot of things for you, and check that out in the show notes. Now let me tell you a little bit more about Jane. Jane Dagmi is the managing director for High Point by Design, a nonprofit organization that champions for High Point as a year-round destination for design and creativity by uniting and promoting the city's rich creative and manufacturing ecosystem. A storyteller, educator, and design enthusiast by nature, Jane was a career journalist and magazine editor before taking on this role in 2022. Her most recent editorial role was as editor-in-chief of Designers Today magazine. Beginning there in 2018, she resuscitated the struggling publication and gave it a fresh spin and built a design community around it. Her first foray into magazines was at Country Living magazine in the 90s, and it was there that she attended her first High Point market. After making more than 20 subsequent trips as a visitor, she relocated here with her partner in 2019 and enjoys being part of the city's changing landscape. So let's talk to Jane. You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. Hi, Jane. Welcome to Design Curious. So great to have you here today.
Hi, Rebecca. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk with you about High Point and all the things related to that. I would love for you to share, though, first your story about how you got into the industry.
Oh, goodness. Wow. Well, I studied interior design, but I never became an interior designer. I did help some people with, window treatments here and there. And I helped a designer friend of mine in Florida for a while doing some projects, but I never really did it. But where I got my foot in the door was at Country Living magazine.
Okay.
And that was in the 90s, the first time that I came to High Point. And it was the first time that I went on photo shoots and all those sorts of things. So the world of magazines interested me a lot because it melded, design, which I obviously loved, or I wouldn't have gone to design school.
Yeah.
And storytelling, which I was largely an English major in college. So magazine world kind of just felt the right place for me. And I love my career at Country Living. And I got to design there, because you do photo shoots like you do.
Yeah.
Oh, let's do a project on all blue and white. And then you design rooms around it, you order product. And so it was a little bit about a little make-believe design install. So that's where I got my start. And then in and out of the industry for a bit. I'd say I kind of left the industry visibly for a while, about 6, 7 years, just, life takes turns, a little bit of a kind of like just personal stuff going on. And then I came back in through technology, which were new apps for interior designers, and I enjoyed it. It put me back in the industry. It's how I met my boyfriend, who is my partner now. Yeah. And then I'd say like the sort of cherry on top of getting me back in the industry was my career at Designers Today as editor-in-chief, which was, I spent 4 years there before doing what I'm doing now. that was great. And
Yeah.
I enjoyed my experience. I brought a magazine pretty much back to life and met some really great people through it. And then it was time
Sure.
to go.
Okay. Yeah. On to the next thing, which is High Point by Design or
Yes.
HPXD, right?
hmm
So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit more about what that is.
Yeah. So the cool thing about HPXD, well, it came about during COVID where many innovative ideas were born. And, we were all, a bunch of us who live in High Point, gathered around at Cohab Space, one of the showrooms here. And we just started meeting about like, what's the fate of High Point and our showrooms and our business. The market had just been postponed for April market. And so we decided to band together and open up our showrooms and be accessible to people
Mm-hmm.
as they needed,
Mm-hmm.
slow shopping, individual attention, no crowds, and just what everybody was sort of looking for at that
Yeah.
time. And we feel like with the feedback that we've gotten now that we're out of COVID, primarily, is that type of shopping and experience where there's individual attention and you can really focus, you can bring clients without the whole crowd. It's
Mm-hmm.
still very valuable for designers. And so we're just sort of going with that. We know that our motto is design never goes dark, and High Point is cranking year round. I mean, we see it at market, and that's
Yeah.
when it's in like, that's its fashion week, right? That is the showrooms look amazing. All your friends are here. Nothing can replace market. We love
Yeah.
market,
Yeah.
but not everybody can get to market. Things happen in people's lives. Maybe somebody wants to bring their whole team, but it's a little too pricey during market to bring
Mm-hmm.
more of your team. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
for some of your junior designers, it's like you'd really like to show them how fine upholstery is made. And you can do
Mm.
that in between market. You can do that through HPXD. So we're a great resource for year-round design in High Point.
Okay. So is it a membership? Can designers become members of it?
I love that you asked that because other designers have asked, and I'm like, well, we don't have a designer membership yet. But, we think about what might that actually be if we did. But our members right now are brands
Okay.
primarily with showrooms. We have a few artists and furniture makers who don't have like your, flagship showroom that are
Mm-hmm.
also members and fabricators. But for the main part, we don't have designer membership yet.
Okay. So what would you say is the percentage of showrooms that are available if you want to come and see these off
Right.
market showrooms? Yeah.
So right now we have 30 showroom members, but there are many more showrooms that are not our members yet
Mm.
that are accessible. So, if when designers have their relationship with reps and things, they can call their reps that have showrooms here and get into many more showrooms
Okay.
than we're working with because of my contacts in the industry too. Sometimes when a designer comes and they'll call me, like I act very much like a designer concierge
Okay.
frequently. A designer will call me and say, I'm bringing a client. They have like a wish list and they ask me some things. So I try and put together an itinerary for them. And, my first go-to is our members, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
they pay us to promote and support them through the
Mm-hmm.
year. But if I think there's somebody that really fits their bill that is not a member that I think they should take a look at, of course, I'm going to recommend that they go there too, because I look at it as hopefully they will come on to HPXD because we're really, I mean, I know we've heard this is like a pat thing already, but we are stronger together. And the
Yeah.
more brands, the bigger we are and just, yeah, we'll be more successful.
Yeah. Is this something that would be available to maybe student groups or just even smaller design buying groups that want to come through off season,
God,
check out the showrooms? Yeah.
totally. One of the things I really like, and it's a lot of work, is to put together like a design tour. And we see High Point as being sort of the center for design tourism in the United
Mm-hmm.
States. And what that means is for designers coming to shop with their clients, whatever tourism, in a professional manner,
Mm-hmm.
tourism for students, sort of seeing High Point as a learning lab for them. And then for a certain amount of showrooms for design enthusiasts, because
Mm-hmm.
we want to elevate the public perception of design and just really, and designers. So I think any education we can do for the public that elevates our industry is
Mm.
good. So for students, I live for those tours. We did a couple days after market in October of 22. We hosted 33 students from SCAD Atlanta, and
Oh,
they were here for 2.5 days. And they're going to factories, they're going to showrooms, they're doing interactive work. Like one of the best things, this was so good. We divided them into 4 groups, and they got to do the windows, like visual merchandisers for one of
oh,
our showrooms. So
wow.
it was so much fun. They had the best time, and they had an hour, and to watch them work and haul stuff around was so
Yeah.
much fun. So we just think, how do you really engage them?
Mm,
And I think what they saw, because these are students that haven't been in the industry, what they really saw in High Point in those 2.5 days was the interconnectedness of how we all help each other and
mm.
collaborate. They would see somebody who, like a fabricator, Justin Stab Designs, and he makes a lot of incredible installations, like desks, the front desks, reception desks at some of our public spaces. And then the students would go into those public spaces, and they went to Justin's studio, and then they went to the public space, and they're like, oh, he made that,
Oh,
that's so
wow.
cool.
Yeah.
Or just kind of they could see full circle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they also, because we kind of mingled around them, they got to see how people in the industry are good people, and
Mm-hmm.
they know each other and they support each other. And, we're competitive and we're collaborative at the same time. And it's all
Mm-hmm.
good. And it's really a love
Yeah.
fest. So,
Yeah.
yes, to students.
Okay, great. Because I think that would be an easier approach for students to really get a handle on what it is to go to market, like without all of the hustle and bustle and like so many people around them, just but be able to go to a showroom and really understand like what designers do when they're at market and be able to take their time and really ask the questions that they want to, because not everyone's not hurried and rushing around them. So yeah.
It's so true. I mean, I think that you can have market and HPXD. I think they kind of enhance each other.
Mm,
One is not a substitute for the other. It's like, students, if they come to market, they're going to be overwhelmed, and nobody's
hmm.
really going to give them the time of day.
Yeah.
And when they usually come on like the later days, Tuesday, Wednesday, when the founders and people they're tired, they're already gone home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they do get a deeper education and a sense of how things are made, and they just really have the space to learn and explore and ask questions. It's different.
Yeah, I think that's just a great opportunity. So what is the plan for HPXD? Is it going you're and obviously you want it to grow and have more showrooms be a part of it. Are there any other things that for the program that you're looking forward to?
Yeah. So yeah, on a general day-to-day basis, expanding our membership so that there's sort of like more of a attraction draw for people to come. Right now, we're really strong in furniture and upholstery, and I feel like we could strengthen our lighting
Mm,
offer and other things like that. So first, get some more membership. That's one thing. And then we do special events. One of the events that we do, I call it our signature event, is the Vacation Rental Design Summit. And that has been happening in the spring at Spring Market. And we
okay.
do that with High Point Market Authority. And that is to basically inspire designers who are doing vacation rentals and short-term rentals to do them better, to elevate the experience and use quality furniture and think about sustainability and just really create an incredible guest experience.
Mm,
So we do that. Something I'm looking forward to this late spring, and this will be the first time, is we're creating an event for the public that shows the correlation between design and autism. So
oh.
High Point is a certified autism destination. And our visitor center thought that, which is called Visit High Point, they thought it was very important to be a very inclusive city.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is a lot of the venues around like the Children's Museum, our hospitality spaces and sort of event spaces, they have
Mm-hmm.
taken, and restaurants and hotels, they've taken training where their employees know how to respond to people on the spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
basically, with various degrees of needs. So when I heard that we were an autism destination, I was like, oh my goodness, there's definitely a design component to this, because one
Yeah.
of my colleagues, Shelley Rosenberg of Acorn and Oak, this has been her calling in the design world. And so I called Shelley up and I said, you want to do something? with me. And because I know this is important to get some information to people who are caring for people on the spectrum, how to make
Hmm.
the living environment a place for empowerment and independence. And anyway, so we've got that to plan. So that's very exciting.
Great.
Um,
Yeah.
and we're going to move into an office. So
Okay.
I have been working out of my home, and we will be actually officing with Visit High Point, which is our visitors bureau. And I think our whole sort of push for design tourism is it makes sense. We work with
Hmm.
them a lot. And so that's pretty exciting.
That is. That's
Hmm.
great. Yeah, because High Point is such a destination. I think every designer, no matter which region you're in, wants to go to High Point at some point and really experience it. And I think that you really have a pulse on the direction that the design industry is going and new and upcoming things. So I think that you could be positioned to really help bring to light a lot of these things like the autism in design and also just like students and other things that might come to light that you guys will be in a great position to bring that to other designers as well.
And, think about it. I mean, just mentioning autism, like when we think about High Point by Design, like what we do, and there's value really for everybody, but think about designers that might not like to shop in crowds,
Hmm.
or just more comfortable taking it slowly. And,
Hmm.
the whole idea, I mean, I get like this a little bit, like I'm like, oh my God, there's so many people in town. Like,
Yeah.
it's market. Oh my goodness, where am I going to park? But, mild cases of anxiety, it's super low, it's super chill.
Yeah.
And I'm there. I mean, seriously, to
Yeah.
help people. Like, I have to tell you, this was so much fun. We did this recently. My friend at Baker had gotten a call from a set production designer. And she said, these people, they want to come to High Point. This was in November. And could you help them? So I called Rochelle, and she and her set decorator, they came to High Point all together. They were here for about 7 or 8 days, but I hooked them up. When you're a set decorator, you have certain requirements about, it's either got to be quick ship or they want to buy it off the floor.
Hmm.
And of course, they had their inspiration sheets, of I said, send me your inspo, send me their inspo. And I'm like, okay, here's where I think you really need to go first. And
Yeah.
it was so much fun working with them and creating their itinerary
Hmm.
and the brands that they had good luck with. I mean, they went to a lot of brands. Not everybody was the right fit. They're looking at their sets and everything and their budgets, of course, but they did so incredibly. And she just texted me the other day. She texted me a picture that I can't show yet, and that's all cool, but just to
Yeah.
show me how it's all coming together on set. And she said, "We want to come every season, and
Oh.
then one of our antique dealer friends, Stephanie at 214 Modern, she connected me to another set decorator,
Oh.
and she's like, "Yeah, High Point can be a great resource for us really at any time, but the thing about coming off market is they can get into the warehouses if
Mm.
they want to. They can really spend their time in a place with clear thinking
Mm.
and focused attention. So that's really fun. So that's a great market, the set designers to
Yes.
tap into. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I wanted to ask you, Rebecca, when were
Yeah.
you last in High Point?
I was there. It was fall. It wasn't this last fall, it's the one before. So it's 2022.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
plan to go this coming fall again because I usually go, since I'm West Coast, to Las Vegas market. But I
Mhm.
do see the merit in coming to a High Point at least, every 2 years just to see all the other vendors that aren't showing in Las Vegas or any other market I might go to. So yeah.
Definitely, definitely. And do you usually spend a couple days? Do you come early? What's your sort of High
Yeah.
Point thing?
There for the whole week, pretty much,
Hmm.
because I just want to make the most of it. It's not like I can just drop in. I'm flying across country. I want to be able to see everything that I want to see. So I take my time and take several days to do it. And I like to also keep an eye out for like the social events and things like that because I like to connect with people and market's a great time to do that. So
Yeah, I'm sure
yeah.
you can find like great people to be on your podcast there, make some new
Yeah.
connections and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I love how you're saying like helping the set designers is very much like a concierge position, but also like you must also like connecting people together. Like you're finding the right vendor and it works for this designer and making a match, you know? So it's like a designer matchmaker.
I do like that.
Yeah.
I do like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's one of my skills. When I'm doing every market, I'm like, I don't know where the time goes, but one of my promises for next market is to see more. I always want to just see more. Like I have to enjoy visiting our members during market and checking in with them. I also just need to go around and see and meet and find out like who is around during the year because
Hmm.
there's just a lot of activity here that I'm sure I don't even know about. That's the cool thing. I'm still discovering High Point. There's a lot to
Yeah.
discover.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
Hmm.
what that you're kind of creating also, I think, the position, also just discovering what HPXD can be for the industry too. So I think that it's a fun time for you, like creating your
It's good.
position and everything. Yeah.
High Point's having a renaissance, really. I
Yeah.
mean, we have a new mayor who, believes in the power of design and to use it for good. And there's a lot of interesting building happening. We're getting a new hotel, and we're going to have this new Visit High Point Center
Hmm.
downtown, right on the periphery of the design world.
Hmm.
And I'm excited.
Hmm. Can you speak at all about how High Point's changed maybe a little bit with the showrooms tailoring to retail spaces as opposed to designers? Seems like there's a lot more designers that go to market now and a lot more showrooms that are designer friendly than used to be.
Oh, for sure. I'm on the High Point Market Authority board, and every meeting that we have, especially after that follows a market, they will give us percentages of designers, industry retailers, and other that come. And designers designers make up more than half, probably more than 60%, but I'm not going to give numbers beyond that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do remember when those signs were in the door that said no designers.
Yeah.
And so now, and it's interesting because a lot of brands will just say, okay, we want to sell to designers. And they don't understand that you can't just like say, it's not a switch. You have to learn.
Mm,
There's customer service and things that designers need that is different than retailers. And also
right.
just visuals. Sometimes I go to a website and I'm like, oh my goodness, you were not ready to sell to designers.
Yeah.
Designers don't buy like the whole suite of furniture
No.
generally. Like that's no. Mm-mm. So I tried to get out of the design industry in those sort of years when I was just like, what am I going to do? And I thought I'd
Sure.
become a teacher and like do, history and English, but it pulled me back in. I love it. Every designer that I've ever interviewed, and I don't know how you feel with your podcast, but I used to fall in love with everybody that I interviewed, at the
Hmm.
time that I was interviewing them, because I just think that designers do such incredible work
Mm,
for people, helping people's lives really get into shape. And
yeah.
they care so much. The detail work is so incredible, what they're doing for people.
Yeah.
And then to hear the designers talk about their commitment to their clients, it's super inspiring and all the cool things that they're doing for their employees. And
Hmm.
I don't know, I love designers. I
T-shirt, you wear that all the time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I know. They're
So
cool people. Yeah.
yeah, the fun thing for me is when I do get visitors here during market and they let me know, I get to hang out with them. I get to see them and it's quiet and we go for coffee
Nice. Yeah.
and it's a lot of fun. So yeah.
Great.
Hmm.
Well, thank you so much. How can people connect with you to learn more about what you're doing?
Well, they can go to hpxd.org and follow us on Instagram at highpointxdesign. And they can DM me through there if they have any questions. They can sign up for our emails. We don't over email. And yeah, and
Great.
just when they
Yeah.
come to High Point, look for our banners that are all over town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. We'll do. Yeah, I'll include all those in the show notes so people can find you. But thanks, Jane, for coming
Yeah.
on the
Thank
show
you.
today. Yeah, and just sharing all your knowledge and what you're doing for High Point. I just think it's great. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. I enjoy my job. It's a big job, but I see progress and that's exciting.
Yes, for sure. All right, we'll talk to you later then.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
So as you can see, High Point has a lot to offer year-round. And if you're interested in going in the off-season, of course, you should connect with High Point by Design and connect with Jane and get a tour scheduled to go see all of those showrooms, especially if you don't like crowds. It's a great option. Or if you're a student looking to go with your class or anything like that. And of course, even if you're there during market, it wouldn't be a bad idea to connect with Jane and get maybe some information about different showrooms, especially if it's your first time going. All right, so you can find all the information from our episode in the show notes. That's it for this week, but next week I'll have another great podcast episode for you. And until then, stay creative. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.